Hi everybody, here we are again from NWE with another replay analysis, and this time we are looking at a game that I played, and I'm here with
Lostgeek. Hey,
and
same as last time.
and I'm JackMade. So this time we are looking at a game of myself playing in Fite Club. This is round 3, as you can see in the deck list shown, and the matchup is Op versus Hoshiko. And what are your thoughts about the deck lists, Ozan?
Yeah, so first off, one of the things that I probably wouldn't have noticed at this point, the Hoshiko list is pretty huge. I have forgotten how many cards it exactly was, but like 50-ish, 60-ish?
I can remind you, it's 57. Something that I also realized very, very early when I saw the list.
And I think especially against Op, this can sometimes be a problem because Op asks you to have the necessary breakers very early in the game and is able to, for example, do something like install something behind the border control, then bounce you out and install a code gate afterwards, and now you need 2 separate breakers to get in there.
Yeah.
And if we look at this list, we have 3 of each breaker. That is a good place to start, but also only 2 bunker, which means that you need to get through a lot of cards until, with like Gashapon and the price and so on, you get to a point where you can consistently contest what the corp is doing. So especially the early game is definitely favored for Op on it.
Yeah.
But afterwards, the Hoshiko lists have a lot of valuable cards, stuff like DJ Fenris, which gives you incidental value on HQ runs, Hana Wheels, just some liberated accounts and just good stuff cards. The Ana card pool is very deep, and being able to play all of the good cards and especially the one-offs like Miami, Poemu, Taka, and so on. Typically, a small Hoshiko deck would need to decide between them and only play one of them, for example, 2 Poemus. But this deck can afford to then also have a Miami and Taka, and if you draw into it towards the mid and late game, then you have more economic pressure than other decks might have at that point. So there's a trade-off to be had there.
For sure. And one thing to note is also that they have Turbine, which makes most of, if not all of the eyes pretty irrelevant besides the subroutines and border control, obviously. One thing to remember is that there's still Stavka, and Stavka can be a bit annoying even with Turbine installed when you trash a card. But as you said, I was very happy to see playing against this big Hoshiko list, because it's just so good early game for Orb, as you said, for sure.
But I guess other than Stavka, which now that I'm doing the math is like you need to pump once even if you have all your breakers.
Exactly.
Plus 1 turbine.
It depends on if you have your setup already by then. Yeah, for sure. If you have the setup, you're right. But still, that's the only ice where you have to pump. And
but otherwise, like all of the ice, even a Sandstone at high strength at the first encounter with 1 turbine is already below the threshold. So everything else really just becomes subroutines.
Yeah.
Oh, and also you're playing 1 Eli 1.0. I didn't notice that.
That was one choice I made. Just I wanted to try it out because we looked at the deck list before the round, and it was very clear that our opponents were playing the same decks in the first 2 rounds. So I saw that Magnet wasn't much of value. So I thought maybe I just want to try out Eli, because I think there was some, like, I don't know if it was what's it called, the Sable deck that wasn't just worse against Eli than against Sandstone, or if it was for what's the icebreaker, the Trojan from Arizona called again, that can break
Slap Vandal,
where Sandstone is also worse than Eli, obviously.
That makes sense.
So I just wanted to try it out. So I swapped 1 Magnet for Enigma and 1 Sandstone for an Eli. Very, very small changes from the last round. Yeah. But I mean, it's also in game. I think it also shows that it's not that big of a deal, but it's just an interesting swap that you can do.
And also interestingly, you swapped like 3 costs for other 3 costs, which means that for Op reasons the deck stays the same, which is kind of important to have the same number of targets at every single breakpoint.
Yeah. And also Enigma is also interesting because Enigma gives you a better face check again. That's also the reason behind Drafter. Drafter is very, very strong face check. Yes. Especially in Op, where you really like to reinstall cards and get cards back from your archives. So
But I guess at this point we don't need to go too much into detail for the op deck. For everybody interested in that, there's an episode with you, I think, with Jeff Isengrin on his YouTube channel. So there will definitely be a link down below to that video, and you can if you want to get even more information about op and everything around it. In that
if you want to get in-depth information about Kalikana Zoo, then you can find that at Isengrin's channel where we did this co-op video. Yeah. So what do you think?
I think.
Just hop in?
Let me first try to guess who is advantaged here. I kind of feel like it is a pretty equal game. Like every game that op gets where you just get a really quick start out of the get-go, I think you should be advantaged against Hoshiko, but there is definitely a turning point where Hoshiko becomes very oppressive, and especially with Turbine and everything, you have very little to throw against her. So yeah, I'm interested to see where this goes.
I mean, it wouldn't be in a replay if it was just a stomp. I expected it for sure. I expected to be that this round would be easy for my op deck, but it wasn't. So
yeah, but that's just you being very confident on op. that's always the case, no matter what opponent.
Nah, I'd say there are some matchups where I'm not comfortable with op, and it's mainly ESA because I hadn't had good draws against ESA, and I think the matchup is slightly problematic for op for sure. But yeah. Let's see how it plays out.
All right, we see starting hands here. Once again, we can't unfortunately hide the runner's side of the... Or can we? No, we can't. So it is what it is. But let's try to focus on your side of the game and go from there.
First interesting question is, would you keep it or not?
There's a lot of good stuff in here. Like there's Audacity and Tucana, which means that you're a single agenda away from greatness. Yeah. But also you don't have any econ. There's cheap ice, so not having econ doesn't hurt all that much. But then again, if you don't draw into any econ or agendas, this hand does nothing. Also, for everybody not clear, this is an ice wall. I guess the Aldar is not really known to anybody that has started playing the game later into the course of the game. I think this is a very early promo.
I'm a sucker for these old arts.
Yes, same. Like it's definitely a card that I'm also slotting in my deck whenever I'm playing it. But just to make sure that everybody knows what we are looking at.
Yeah.
I actually don't know. I think I would keep because there are a lot of worse hands that you can have. But on the other hand, this is dangerous. This needs something. This needs to draw into Rashida or something to get you into the game.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I'm also I don't remember if I kept this hand or not. I think it's kind of a coin flip if you keep it or not.
Yeah, I agree. It's completely borderline. It's one of those hands that if you mull into, you're like, okay, I can probably deal with this.
Yeah, you can work with it. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, let's see. You exchange your good luck. You have to think a bit about the hand, and then you keep it. Okay.
Yeah, maybe I was thinking maybe if I get a really rough start, then this is just not necessary to put myself into.
Yeah.
Oh, my virus is actually quite a good draw.
Yes. My first thought was, oh, this does nothing, and then my second thought was, wait, you rob. So. The virus has the big big upside of having a 3 in its corner. So that means that whenever you use it, you get to tutor a 2-cost card from your deck, which in this case means Regolith, which means a lot of money.
Yeah. So we have something to do in our first turns, which is good.
But I do assume that you don't go for it right away. You probably install Ice on Centrals. Like, I would assume you install this behind a piece of ice and then ice a central and go from there, right?
I'm not doing it like first turn, use the Mavirus to get the... No, that's like crazy. Yeah. But I'm definitely going for second turn Regolith.
Interesting decision here on the ice placement, on not placing ice on HQ. How do you value the chances of Tucana getting trashed out of your HQ?
I think that's usually not a big deal. First of all, Tucana gets mostly fetched through a 3-cost trash. So I don't really like it in hand anyway. If I can put it in the Remore, obviously that's great. But it's also just a 1 in 3. And I think losing an agenda from R&D is much worse. So I just like protecting R&D better here.
I think my plan would have been to put the thermal rig on HQ. So definitely interesting that you go for the other way. But I can definitely see it, and I definitely also just bled away unnecessary agendas at this point from R&D just to bad luck. And I guess this reduces the opportunities to have bad luck.
Yeah, and as I said, if it gets trashed, it's not the worst. You have like spin doctors that you can very easily access to shuffle it back in. It's just not that big of a downside.
Yeah, I think I agree. So the runner does actually very aggressively just go for it and make you res your eyes, which is a really good option.
Yeah, I think I would have actually liked if they just played raindrops here, because
yeah, true. Just to have more value out of it.
Yeah, this creates this this fork where I really don't want to res the eyes to give them extra cards, but
yeah,
but running is fine.
Yeah. Now running R&D, you're not resing because you need your 3 credits. Makes sense. So in the end, we couldn't res it anyways, but in many games, the runner decides to set up instead of pressuring all of your ice reses, so makes sense.
And there's some danger in this play as well, because if that's a face check of some kind. I mean, Drafter is not the worst thing here, but Enigma would probably be annoying.
Yeah, I agree. Finally, runner makes runner HQ, finds a Tucana actually. So
obviously, always.
the worst bit out of all worlds, and finally installs a Poemu. Makes sense. So you go for the pre-draw virus res to just be sure to.
I actually do it in the core turn, in the runner turn. It's not. Yeah. Not properly shown in the log, but
yeah, exactly. This is not in your own turn, which probably opens up to drawing extract stuff like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's just no need to use your op trigger on your turn when you can do it on your opponent's turn.
Exactly. And then you just chew a bit on Regolith, because there's nothing that can be trashed in HQ, so this is completely fine.
And also it's very, very good to have it available with just 2 clicks, because if you use the Regolith up, then you get another op trigger, which is very nice.
Yeah. There is an argument for just clicking it twice and installing a second ice on the server, but I think you're completely happy with the runner spending a lot of their resources to find the fractor, break the ice wall, get in, or like find some other. I guess they don't have any tools at this point. So find the fractor, install it, break the ice wall, and trash a Regolith. That's a completely fine exchange for you.
There's a lot of that has to happen for them to make that able. They're on 4 credits and 1 on the Paladin. So trashing the Regolith is not that easy. And
but you never know. You never know. So the runner draws a bit. Raindrops on HQ.
I find that interesting.
He's an ice wall.
So little value on a raindrop where no ice gets procced. But okay.
Gashopon and credit back to us. And there we see the extract actually. So interesting decision point here. Would you finish this Regolith up naturally, or would you go for extract? And I assume that if you had an agenda in hand, you would go for the Thimble Rig, fetch a Tucana and install the agenda in there. Not having that, I would assume that you just finish up the Regolith naturally and keep the extract for later.
How to fetch a Tucana? How are you fetching it?
By extracting the Regolith instead.
That's only gets us a 1-coster.
Isn't Tucana is a 2-cost. I haven't played this deck in a while.
I think what goes through my mind is I think I want to extract an ice wall, so that I can get a spin doctor. That's more valuable. So I'm just clicking through the Regolith, and I think last click I'm just installing an ice.
Yeah, totally makes sense. That's what you do. Fetch an ice wall.
Okay, I think I was a little bit confused here. I thought I didn't use my op trigger yet, so I could get a spin doctor here, but obviously that's not how this works.
That does make sense, and also good to see the good sportsmanship even in these high stakes tournaments where
Yeah, I mean,
people just go like, yeah, sure.
There's not much information gained, but still,
that is true.
There are obviously cases where people would would say, nah, you did it. Yeah. You have to stick to it.
So Runner faced with a really awkward choice of deciding between really good cards.
No.
Echelon will be needed at some point against stuff like Winchester and Stavka. Twinning will also be needed at some point, but probably Fermenter is needed now. No, actually going for the Echelon. Interesting.
Yeah, I think maybe they are more afraid of Drafter and Stavka maybe.
That does make sense. Like just being able to get back the Tukana, or probably get back a Tukana and get back a Regolith. Yeah, that's just too much value. I can definitely see this.
I mean, it's still very expensive to contest a Drafter Fire because you have to pump and then you break. That's 5 credits.
But I would assume this is also something that comes with the big deck size, which means that if you find the thing, you probably need it now, because otherwise you're digging for 2 copies in the rest of your pile. Yeah. So this...
And I think the name of the game for Hoshiko is anyway that you really want to find your breakers as soon as possible. Yeah,
definitely. So I actually come around to this line making sense. I haven't played too much with these big decks other than Big Max back then. So I can see the logic here. Runner is drawing up a bit and installing some tools for later. Makes sense. Also flipping Hoshiko back, which also makes sense to be able to draw later. Once again, good old art. Good old Eli joining the party.
Fun side fact, this old art was at some point the most sought after old art, I think, from all of the old arts that existed.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Some kind of holy grail that every player was just dreaming about. I don't know where this actually was, where people could get this. Maybe at some worlds.
I think it was something that was like very early in the game's history, so there weren't that many events of that kind, and I think it was a regional or something, so there were few of them or something like that. But this is way before my time, so it's just something that I was told. I also don't own this, so...
Also, another side note for people that don't know, Eli was once considered the best ice in the game, and nowadays it kind of has fallen because nobody's playing it anymore.
Yeah, but still it has, even today, it still has really good numbers on it. Just the fact that you can click through it has made it so much worse, because the tempo loss is easier to get around than the face check value of like any run, or however you want to put it. Like, runners are able to pay the 2 clicks early on, which means that you can't push a Rashida behind this or something like that.
I think the main reason why it's better, it's less good now, is because breakers got better, because back in the day you could only break it for 4 credits basically. Then there was the time when Shaper got their dog breaker that broke it pretty efficiently, which made it a little bit.
And then Paperclip came around and changed the entire math. Although even today, like, Cleaver pays 3 credits for it, which is still quite something. So it's still fine, but I definitely agree. Like, it used to be that 4 credits was the optimum that Corolla could achieve. So then this card has a lot more teeth on it than it has now.
One more question now that I play Extract. Which ice wall would you trash? It
is an actually interesting question. I guess Thunberg went there, right? I think if I was able to put the Thunberg on a remote, I think I would keep the ice wall there just to force 2 different ice types, or like breaker types. Since all you're holding are barriers anyways, and your Thunberg sits on HQ, I think it's fine to trash the remote ice.
Yeah,
but I'm not sure.
I think I would also go for the remote ice, just to have the double face check on HQ still. And
but I think I would like the opportunity of putting the Thunberg on a remote right now. Something that I wasn't aware of back when you installed it, but I think right now I would actually like that.
I mean, maybe there comes the time in the game where I can swap it to the remote, and also I'm drawing 2 cards, so I have to build a new remote anyway. So
let's see. You're trashing the remote ice. You're fetching a Spin Doctor, I assume, and we see more ice and Tukana.
And this Stavka is pretty good for reasons, for a similar reason why the Thimbleweed would have been good on the remote, just having a second ice type breaker. But with Stavka, there's the breaker still already on the table, but it's very expensive.
But still 7 is a big number.
Break, yeah.
What is that? 11 credits to break?
As it sits, that's 9 for the pump and 2 for the subroutines. Yes, exactly 11 credits.
So might as well not exist at the moment, but this will change pretty easily, somewhat later in the game. But still, what you didn't draw is any agendas. And looking at your list, you have 11 of them, and you didn't find any of them in the top 14 cards, which is somewhat unlucky.
Yeah, you really want to find that first agenda.
And you also didn't find Rashidas, which would be the thing that you draw into if you don't find agendas, which then in turn draw you the agenda. So you're in a kind of a bad spot here, and I don't know what you do. I would assume you ice the Spin Doctor to just not be forced to use it, especially with the Hana on board.
Yeah, I think that's something that I kind of missed here, but would have been very nice to do. But I'm not sure. But I remember one game where Hana got me pretty good. But on the other hand, I'm not too unhappy if they trash the Spin Doctor. I mean, it's bad that I don't have to spend a click, but they are low on money. They are not really set up properly yet.
The thing I'm mainly thinking about is the fact that we can deny them the ID flip. Okay. So I think I would go for like...
Can't they always run archives? They just have to access a card, right?
I think my next 2 clicks would be to install probably Eli on archives and the Ice Wall on the server 2, or the other way around. I don't know. And that way they would need to spend 2 clicks to flip the ID, which is pretty bad.
I can see that, but I still think that's a little bit too passive. I personally think I want to set up a remote where I can put in the Tucana, so if I draw an agenda, I can start jamming. That is true.
My plan would be a few clicks behind yours, but you would get the ID flip denial from that. And I can see the fact that you are winning this game if you draw into an agenda soon, and if you don't, then it's probably a game you lose anyways, because the Hoshiko deck is so late game heavy. Yeah. So I could see installing.
I totally.
Then I guess you installed. Yeah.
On your play for sure.
So I think then I would just install 2 ice on the remote and be ready for whatever comes. Probably just Stavka and then Ice Wall or something like that.
Okay, actually I ice the Spin Doctor, but I don't ice archives.
You actually open up a new remote?
Yeah, the thing, my thought process is, if I draw an agenda, I can go Tucana, Stavka, and agenda in the remote.
Yeah. Okay. And you want to have a protected Spin Doctor, and that Ice Wall will go anyways once you find your next extract. Okay. I can see a line of thinking, but I think I would have preferred the tower on server 2.
Yeah. And in retrospect, I think I agree. I think it was the round before where I got my Spin Doctor trashed by Hana, and I was still thinking about that and was like, nah, I don't really want that to happen. I like my Spin Doctors on the board, so yeah.
I think the thing that turns it for me is the fact that you already have 2 good shuffles in Extract and Mavirus, maybe, or Extract and Regolith. I don't know. You have enough money, probably Mavirus and Extract and Mavirus. So being forced to use your Spin Doctor right now isn't the worst of things.
I never use Spin Doctor in this situation, by the way. I'm never.
Yeah, okay.
That. The one thing is,
yeah.
The one thing is that's really good about Op is when you can shuffle back in the Spin Doctor to get an extra 2 cards drawn, and you don't want to use the first Spin Doctor if you don't have to. For example, if you expand
I agree there.
Something. And so,
I agree there.
So I don't really want to use it here. I mean, you're right. I also don't really want to shuffle in the Mavirus because that's poison in archives because they are running fermenters.
Fermenters, yeah.
So I like one Mavirus in archives.
I can definitely see that. And this Ice Wall is not worth much anyways once they put a cleaver on the board. So it is mostly extract fodder. This is not really an ice that is protecting a remote, but it's
extract
more like
fodder for sure.
Exactly. So yeah, I can also see your play here. It's definitely an option. And just like spending 3 clicks to install Tucana Ice and the agenda into server 3 is a really good turn. So yeah, makes sense. The runner actually draws Makes to run archives.
Very obvious.
Takes the credit, plays gamble, and flips the ID. There we go. Finally a good draw.
That's the option of making a remote for sure.
Yeah.
If you had made the shore up centrals and a spin doctor now, then you had to kind of decide how to get leverage out of this Rashida.
Yeah. So I guess this just goes into server 3. I'm wondering, the main thing I'm wondering about is whether the Tucana also makes it there, because...
Or you could ask yourself, what is the third click? Because I think 2 clicks that are very clear is putting the Rashida in server 3 and putting Stavka on the server 3. That's
correct.
Very, very clear. But the last click is either draw or put the Tucana.
Put the Tucana in there as well. And looking at the fact that this is an Eli, and the fact that there are still 2 Echelons in the deck, I feel like Stavka doesn't do enough at this point. Like, if they just run server 3, you're kind of sad, because you have trashed an Echelon, but they just spend 2 clicks, they trash your Rashida, and if you then also give them a Tucana that they can also trash, this is really fine exchange for the runner, I think.
I think you have to think it in a different way. I think differently. I think with them having spent their, like, the, what's it called, the hardware that trashes itself, Gachapon, to get the Echelon, there's some emotional connection to their Gachapon, I think, to say it like that. So I don't think they want to lose it. So if you put the Stavka on top and they actually face it, I think they are very likely to want to break it. And that's super expensive. And if they click through Eli afterwards, then they might not have enough money to trash the Rashida or the Tucana. And the good thing about the Tucana is that they might not even contest the remote because they don't have all their breakers. So if you have Rashida and Tucana in the remote when the Rashida fires, then you're set up to just put an agenda in, or even fast advance an agenda afterwards.
Yeah.
So I like the play, I think. I mean, you're obviously right. If they just let the breaker get trashed, it's very difficult to know if it's worth, if the value is enough that you get from Stavka.
Yeah, I think I would be wary that my opponent might just do that run, because also they don't fear Drafter at this spot because they do have the breaker against it. So all of your reses don't really hurt, so they can actually poke there. Whether they do is the other question, but I think they definitely have the option here, and they should probably.
I mean, there's some problems. If the first ice is Stavka and the second ice is just a blank and the run, they just lost their breaker for nothing. So
that is actually true.
They might not do that, and they might also jack out after the Stavka, which is also one thing that.
Although, I guess Stavka, there is the world where you run into a Stavka into a Drafter, and that's really painful.
Or Stavka into Enigma, where you lose another click for nothing.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, okay.
I'm also not sure what I did here, so maybe I'm just talking stuff and I did something completely different.
So let's see. Do you draw or do you install?
You
draw actually. And then those two installs.
I actually don't install the Stavka. Very interesting.
This I actually disagree with. Like, this is very greedy. Of course, if they don't run you now with Tucana and an agenda and Nodacity and everything is really great.
Yeah. In retrospect, I think I also think this is very greedy.
Okay, at least we agree. Interesting. So let's see what they do. But I would assume that since you didn't preface this with and this was a bad choice, they probably don't run here. Or maybe they do.
I think they do. They even do it with mana. Yeah, this is not the greatest.
Yeah,
this is probably in retrospect. I didn't remember it like that, but now that I see it, this was probably one of my worst mistakes in this game for sure.
This is a lot of pain. Now you've lost 2 of your cards that help you get into this game again.
I mean, the Rashida's the big one. But let's assume. But I would have installed the Stavka instead. I think this would have been great because they probably would have installed the barrier breaker.
The cleaver, and then they have to. They don't actually have the money, right? They paid 3 and 2, so they have exactly the right amount of money to
did they
break that.
After installing the
they've spent 5 credits on this run, so they were on 11. So they have exactly enough money
right?
to
5, true,
yeah, because they paid 2 for the Tukana and Rashida trash.
Sure.
So yeah, they would have been on 0 credits now and not be in the server.
Looking at the upgrades, I was like, shit, this is 1 to trash.
But at least your Spin Doctor is iced and you can shuffle them back.
No.
So they draw a card, they play another Gashapon, and they just take a credit to prepare for whatever you might do next.
So,
which is hopefully to draw agendas and code gates.
I draw the second Rashida, which is very lucky.
This is definitely lucky. Although you do have a Rashida in hand in the form of an X-Track and an Ice Wall on the table. So while it's lucky to draw into this naturally, you could have also just etched it.
There are a lot of the plays here on the table, by the way, which is very interesting. I think what you really want to do is get the Rashida fire. So how you accomplish that? I think there are 2 possible ways. In my mind, I don't really like to extract for Rashida because telegraphing the Rashida, not against this list, but sometimes that can trigger a pinhole because they know.
I do agree. Like in general, I agree, but like in this special case, you know that a 7-strength Stavka will just break their back. So telegraphing that and telling them, I don't think you should run here, will probably just make them not even contest because they know that you have something there, which is probably not just a code gate but a Stavka.
Yeah, I agree that in this case you can make a point for that, but usually extracting an Ice Wall for a Spin Doctor is just so much better because you get the instant value, you have the extra reshuffle which you can do. You could even I wouldn't say I would do it in this situation, but you could do, even if you have a rest Spin Doctor on the board, you could get the Spin Doctor, trash the one that's installed, and reshuffle it to get another Spin Doctor activation later.
And even in some sense, you are on infinite credits at this point. Like I think you could rest literally every single ice in your deck and still have some credits left. Yeah, probably not, but close to. So the 3 credits on Rashida don't actually make a difference, and then it's like 2 cards now or 3 cards later.
2 cards now is uncertain cards later, especially since there are 2 breakers already on the table.
Exactly.
So the 2 options that I was talking about in my mind is either installing the Rashida, installing the Stavka on the remote, which is very expensive but not keeping the runner out, or installing the Rashida using extract on the Eli. Well, I'm going to put it on the Eli to get a Thimble Rig, which they can't break right now. And
you have 2 in your deck.
I have 2, I think the Thimble Rig is very, very important because you need that 2-cost ice. You really need that 2-cost ice.
But I think I would still like to put the Stavka there just to be able to break their back if they choose to interact, which they probably don't. But like the Stavka is still on the correct server probably for later anyway. So I think I would actually just play the 3 cards and
also one thing that's good of keeping the extract in hand is that you can use it later on the stuff when it's rest to put it in the archives and then shuffle it back with the Spin Doctor to have it again.
Yeah. So let's see what you do. Think first. Let's go. And Pizza has left the game. You shuffle back 2 Kanas. Interesting.
Okay. I'm actually going for the Spin Doctor first. Okay.
You fetch a doctor. Okay, what has this changed now? You do have an agenda that you don't want to actually score. I guess Sandstone does a pretty good job of protecting a Rashida actually, but Stavka is still the worst thing to face for runner. So I think I would go for Rashida and Stavka in the remote still. Agreed. I think that plan hasn't changed. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, interesting. But also interesting that you're seeing even way more lines now than at least you chose back then. Because I kind of feel like the Thimble Rig line is definitely the one to go for. The Gashapon needs to hit one of the 3 Buzzsaws in 41. We are seeing that there's also a price in the buyer band, so like finding a Buzzsaw is not impossible for the runner, but still I think that would be
even if they hit it, the staff is still a huge
exactly
huge credit cost. And
maybe they're unlikely to be able to find the buzzsaw and be able to break a staff car. So I agree. But still, I think this Rashida will go through. I would be impressed if it doesn't. We gashapon for actually nothing.
Yeah, that was a miss.
That was a complete miss.
And exactly hitting all 3 steel skins, right?
Yeah. Two steel skins, 2 prizes.
Okay. I'm misreading that a little bit. Yeah, I thought I read the steel skin that got removed as well as the 2 that were hit.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, this just hurts. This just plain hurts. A click to install and nothing out of it.
Yeah, it's also the downside of playing a big deck. It's way less consistent.
You are running 21 events, so this kind of thing can simply just happen.
Yeah, and then some hardware that you can't install. I think some
manual
as well.
Yeah, manual draw to find stuff, and now just face check something. Yeah, I would assume that centrals have less stuff cast on them than remote, so this run is probably still safe, and it's just a sim rig now.
Yeah,
also gives you giving you options to but also giving you options with a simple rig for later.
Yeah, and one thing to note as well about the op deck is most of the time you really want to have your eyes rest, because it's very annoying to not have a good target for your trash abilities like extract or the ability from AZ protocol. So even if this one wasn't high value, or even if I wanted to deny the card roll, it might still be worth it to rev the symbol rig.
Yeah, you're not just protecting anything you have in hand, but you're also just opening up options for later, which is always important. Also, you're opening a 2, which is something that you don't have that much in your deck. So like certain numbers are really hard to hit, and rezzing them just to have that number on the board is sometimes also important.
Yeah.
Although I guess there aren't that many ones in your deck that actually do anything at this point.
There's only Ice Wall, but the good thing about Ice Wall is that it's a target that can you get again another Spin Doctor, which is still valuable in the late game. It's not nothing.
Yeah. So let's see. They Henna onto your Death Trap.
Yeah. This is very annoying, because they can't quite break the Safka. They can only break one subroutine.
Yeah. I would assume they just let it go here. They paid 10 into it. This hurts incredibly much.
And I kill the still kill the barrier break, of course, because that's the more valuable break in my mind. Yeah. And now
I fully agree.
You know what happens now?
Do they continue? Oh no! Oh no! Okay, this just plain hurts. This is the worst outcome for them. Even
looking at
I definitely see how you'd assume that this might just be an agenda.
Yeah.
But oh god, this is the worst outcome that they could have had.
Yeah.
Yeah, this leaves them. Yeah, before this exchange, I was thinking, how are you gonna win this game? But at this point, I think you're looking really good. I guess they do have 4-ish credits next round to do something with, so they're not completely out of the game. But crawling back from here is really hard, and you still have all your money, and your deck has a lot of options to start scoring from here. Also, you still didn't try any other agendas. This is painful.
Yeah. This is one of those games where you really, really would like to find an agenda, but you somehow can't.
Yeah. Do you just start to score the slash and burn here? Just like
so.
Border control slash and burn advance and just eat it?
You never want to.
I know, but like okay, what line do you see? I obviously you took some line in the game, but like what line do you see here that is better than the advancing line? Do you just start drawing? You just install the ice that you have, and
I think I do that. I just install the ice. Drawing here wastes so much value, because I have all. I mean, you could draw one card and discard an Audacity, but I think the one thing I would do is just install 3 ice, and that's my idea. Get the border control on the table, protect R&D with the second type of ice with the Enigma.
And protect HQ. The question is, where do you put the border control actually? Because
border control on
this
HQ.
one,
I would put border control on HQ.
Yeah.
Because you can always swap the thimble rig on R&D on the start of turn, so you still have the double protection, or you can even put it on the remote if you want to have that.
Yeah, weirdly enough, with op, you always try to put the border control on the server that is most likely to get run, and not the one where you need the end run necessarily, because having them res is just so powerful, especially with the res thimble rig that can help you put them on the server that you need it later.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I agree that at this point, I mean, you through half of your deck, the runner should assume that there are some agendas in HQ, so
and they would
HQ
be correct.
runs should happen.
They would be technically correct.
So you actually do install the border control there, the Enigma there,
yeah,
and just plain hedge fund.
Yeah. I think it's still fine. I mean, 22 credits seems like a lot more than I really need, but I think at some point those credits will get used up. Especially.
Oh yeah, for sure.
One thing that comes to my mind is the line where you score an Atlas with Slash and Burn and Audacity, and when you have this many Atlas tokens, you can really leverage the credits quite a bit.
That is true. That is very true. So the runner starts thinking. First contest the spin doctor. You actually leave it. I pressed on too quickly, but I would also say like denying them the last 2 credits that they have is actually worth a lot.
Also, I think there's let's have a quick look at archives. I think there's nothing really I want to shuffle back. I think one thing I could see shuffling back is one Ice Wall, because I don't have any Ice Walls in the deck anymore.
Or like one Ice Wall, one Extract could be.
Could do that, or you could even put in a Rashida again, because we really need draw, because we can't find our agenda somehow.
But I assume that, like, as you said, like having a spin doctor in archives to be able to shuffle it back later is also worth so much.
Yeah, but it's way less.
If you don't have the Ice Wall to go with it, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in retrospect, I think it's not that obvious, but I think you got the right point. The 2 credits for the runner is like worth so much right now, and I'm happy if they use those 2 credits.
But yeah, I assume that if all 3 Ice Walls are gone, your deck doesn't do anything with the spin doctor. So the only thing that remains is the fact that the runner doesn't get to have 2 more credits at this point. Yeah.
And that I have, if I naturally draw the spin doctor, I can shuffle it back in.
Yeah.
Maybe even together with an Ice Wall to fetch it.
Oh, they're moshing. That's what happened. I was wondering how they played the steel skin, but okay, they play a moshing, get rid of the stuff that they don't necessarily need, and try to get back into the game.
Yeah, get up some money. That's what they
strike really fund, gamble, and install daily cards. Makes sense. Oh yeah, Hannah gave the 5th click. I was wondering. Yeah, makes sense. So, do you finally draw an agenda? You don't. Interestingly, you also swapped the thimble rig onto R&D from HQ.
Yeah, which I think makes a lot of sense, because I want to set thimble rig on a different server than the border controller. Generally, and I just swapped code gate for code gate, which is good.
Yeah, totally fine. So I would assume you just draw here.
Yeah.
Finally, something good. How well protected are you at this spot? Not very is the answer, kinda. Like you can't just install advanced this here because your ice doesn't do much. At this point, Stavka,
I think you don't need to. I think what you can do here, which I don't know if past me did, is install the Atlas and install Magnet on the remote.
Yeah, exactly.
And then have options of Audacity and
Slash and Burn later.
Burn next turn, which will give you 5 advanced Atlas.
Yeah. But also give the runner 2 points.
Yeah.
If you don't find anything.
If the Slash and Burn hits the bin, for sure.
Yeah.
But if we are lucky, if we are very lucky, then they run HQ, and we can use the border control to get an calibration testing, which then gets us a Tucana, which we shuffle back in.
Yeah.
Which would be very nice, because then we could also protect archives afterwards to give us a little bit more time to shuffle back in.
Yeah. But still, the thing that I would love to do is just install Advanced Atlas here and have done all of the other work that I need to beforehand, but there's just the ice isn't there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's just too easy to get into the remote by just paying 5 credits on the staff car.
Exactly.
And then 2 clicks on the Eli.
Exactly. That is definitely an exchange that I would be happy to take as Hoshiko here, so the magnet needs to be there.
Yeah, here we see a situation where the Sandstorm would have been better than the Eli.
That's true. That's definitely... I think this game in general was one where Eli's downside was actually relevant. Just for the options that you have once the staff car fires, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I guess the runner not being able to treasure Rashida did help you out there. Still, now runner keeps drawing, seeking for solutions, finds a moshing. I would assume that also goes.
They're just looking for breakers. That's the one thing they need. After getting out of them economical,
they see nothing in archives, and just take a credit. All right. So back to you. You are now sitting here with an Atlas. Oh no, this Rashida hurts, but still, I think your line here is Slash and Burn Audacity. I think
so too.
That is still too valuable, and the Audacities don't get any better.
No, this is the sad reality of Audacity, and why I switched one out. If you draw multiple of them, one of them is dead always.
Yeah. Although if you switch one out, then the likelihood of having none of them after this move become much bigger. So I think I still like the 3 Audacity in this deck, but it's definitely a question of how you'd like to play things.
Yeah, it's a different question that we probably don't have to answer in this replay analysis.
Yeah, exactly.
Also an interesting one for sure.
Something to keep debating as long as Ob is in the game. So manual install, manual advance Slash and Burn Audacity. Just go for the 5 advancements. This puts you in a so comfortable spot for anything that comes later. Being able to shuffle back on Audacity with Spin Doctor and instantly use it, stuff like that is just amazing.
The Atlas token giving me access to the last Spin Doctor is pretty important.
Yeah, exactly.
Also,
the runner now,
one very interesting turn. I'm not saying you have to think about something, but still a very interesting turn from the runner side.
Let's see. They do go for the more. I would assume they also go. Yeah, okay. They lean back and they go like, okay, you need to spend some clicks drawing, which I guess I can see.
Which I find very weird is that they don't go for the 3 points. Like there are 2 points in archives and they just leave it.
Yeah,
there's there's an Atlas token that can get a Spin Doctor, whatever. Just leave the 2 points. Maybe they weren't aware that this was on the table. Because getting the Spin Doctor is very the very obvious play for me, because I need to draw cards. I want to get rid of the agenda. So I found that very interesting.
I think turning one of these tokens into a Spin Doctor is pretty much the correct choice. Just because 2 points are just worth so much. If the runner gets back into this game, then forcing them to steal one more agenda is just huge. So I do agree. I think like one of these clicks should probably have been an Archives run. And just make sure that you have these 2 points in your score area.
I could see that them not being aware that there was an agenda in Archives. Sometimes
that's true. On Janet, that's super easy to miss because you didn't see the thing actually go into Archives.
Yeah. And the top card is a different card as well.
Yeah.
Like if the top card is the agenda, you're more aware that this is what's on the board.
Although I think this is just on the corp view, the runners we might be different, but still. I guess the top card for the runner is this Audacity or something like that.
Could also be just a face down card.
Yeah, true. So I would assume you just now get the Spin Doctor. No, you don't.
I think my idea is if I don't have to spend an Atlas token, that's better. So
that is true. That is true.
The downside of this is that I don't get to use the cards with 2 clicks. That I draw with the Spin Doctor if I get it last click. But I think I'm going for last click install Spin Doctor.
Also, your HQ is pretty safe with 2 ice types that they can't break. So even if you draw into straight agendas here, you're still fine. So Fetching the doctor, installing it.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
No
Although I guess now what you shuffle back is also defined. It is a spin doctor and this is
Yeah.
slash and burn, so all of the other cards still don't get to be shuffled back.
No, these are locked in.
Yeah. Runner keeps setting up, and now runs.
This is also like this is one of the worst runs ever. It's not very obvious why this is okay. It's not. Maybe not. Maybe they run somewhere different.
Yeah, they just take the money. Why would you say? Because the Stavka just kills you again, or
No.
what are you thinking about?
Stavka isn't available anymore because there's only one Stavka in this. The thing why this is bad is because if you run into a border control, which happens to be on HQ,
yeah,
I can trash that. You
yeah.
can get a calibration testing. You can score next turn. You get the Tucana. It's just
yeah,
way too much
that is
value
true.
for the core to give. Last click runs against op have to be very aware of the possibilities that happen when you run last click.
Yeah, that is very true. Not running last click might steal you a click from Enigma or something, but like running last click against op is just generally a bad idea.
By the way, one thing that now comes to mind why I actually like the Eli and the Enigma in the deck is because of these interactions. Because Eli, if you spend clicks on Eli and then I use border control,
true.
That might be also your last click or one of your last clicks, and Enigma goes in the same in a very similar direction.
Yeah, that is true. So now you draw into an hostile. Interesting. Is there anything you want to draw in? Okay.
I mean, I think the obvious first action is letting the spin doctor. Right?
Yeah, I think so. Just see what your options are.
now they are degenders in hand.
Yeah. Just a few turns delayed. I would assume you just need to start pushing here. Your remote is not the best. Like if they install a buzzsaw and run, it costs them how much? It costs them 1 with the buzzsaw, 2, so 3 and 7 credits to get in. I guess exchanging 7 credits at this point against 2 points is not the worst, but still, you would love to do something else instead.
What I could do is also put the border control on the remote, which makes it way more taxing.
That is true,
and that's something that's very good about having a lot of money because I have this place available to me.
Yeah. I think I would prefer shuffling back the 2 cards, installing AZEF and border control, but then the question is what do you do with a third click?
I think also one thing to note about the AZEF protocol, which is very nice, is you can trash, for example, the Eli, and if you do that, you can sneak the Tucana right under the butt of the AZEF before scoring it.
While the AZEF is getting scored. Yeah, definitely.
Which is very nice. So you don't need the Tucana if you have a 3-less card.
Yeah, and the Tucana is also still in your deck, right? You shuffle them back at some point. So
I shuffled 2 back.
So 3 of them are in your deck at this point. No, you are playing 2. Yeah, makes sense. Yep. So, but the question is still, what do you do with your third click?
I think there are 2 options. One option is just drawing a card, just having 1 more cards. Also perfect with hand size, because you end up on 5 cards if you install the border control and the AZEF. Or you could install the drafter. These are, I think, the 2 options. Yeah. And if you install the drafter, probably on HQ, because you have like 1 million agendas in HQ.
That does not quite 1 million, but still close. Yeah, although I'm looking at the draft and I'm seeing this just being 1 ice away, or like 1 program away of being only 2 credits to break.
Mm-hmm. But you can also see it on the opposite side, unless they...
It can be 5.
Yeah, unless they find the third breaker, the drafter is annoying as hell.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I would like installing 3 cards. Let's see what past due does. Mm-hmm. Installs an AZEF.
I draw.
Oh. No, you fetch a slash and burn.
Actually...
You scored...
Oh, okay. I'm scoring it now. Okay.
I guess you can fetch a water. Yeah. This gives up, once again, gives up 2 points.
Yeah.
This time pretty much for sure.
Yeah. But I like it, actually.
But also...
Actually, I like it. I like past me doing these kinds of decisions.
Yeah, past you. Good job.
Past me has some place.
Yeah. And also you get to shoot something, right? You shot a turbine and a more. Winchester HQ, interesting.
By the way, in the game, I was really happy shooting the turbine. Now seeing that they also have the same turbine head makes it a little less exciting.
Definitely. But yeah, Winchester. Did you get to shoot before? How does this work? You technically could have, right?
I can decide the order. I can decide the order.
You could have looked at the meat damage and then decide for the ice, but you didn't, because then like if you shoot turbine, also the Winchester makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. True. And I should. But yeah. I think it's very clear that the right order
it just makes sense to
first get the information, then make your decision.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You might also just like hit a buzzsaw here and then know, they might not have any left and stuff like that. But yeah, I still love the Winchester because it's just really good on HQ. Even if they have everything set up, it's still 3 credits.
And the win basically is in hand. And the one thing that I really like about this play is also it gives me the option of scoring hostile next turn with a Tucana value, which is worth so much. And they really have to find the buzzsaw or they can't contest it.
Exactly. But also we're seeing how your money starts to dwindle at this point, so getting some more injection with a hostile is really good to set up for the final score. Yeah. Although the thing I don't like is that you don't have any Atlas tokens now, and you already had enough tools, I think, in the hand to score. So like the border control also made this score very likely next turn. Yeah. And then you would have the out of having Audacity and just being able to. They don't have Clot, right? No, they don't.
No, they don't. But still,
so
I think I'm a little bit afraid of wasting time. I'm just.
Also, I guess you can't fetch the Audacity yet. So you first need to find Doctor before you can shuffle back and then fetch the Audacity. So I guess this is value now rather than value later. Maybe once. And if the Doctor is the last card in your deck, it is really bad for you.
Yeah. And you have to see they're quite rich now. Like looking back at when they were on 0 credits, they have the twinning going. I think I want to go rather fast than slow, and it might not. It might seem like an appeal to keep the counter on the Atlas, to have it for the last agenda, for example.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is that you might not get there, right?
Yeah, and I think if you had an Audacity in your deck, it would, I think, still be the correct choice.
I mean, I still have the Special Burning Catcher, which basically does the same, even better most of the time. I still have
true. Yeah. So, true.
But I still like the going for now instead of later approach here.
Okay, I can see that.
But there's upside to both, and I think it's not wrong going for next turn for sure.
Yeah,
but I really like the combination of being able to set up next turn while doing the meat damage. Here you can see where the meat damage really comes in handy, because they might have like a play coming in hand, like set up, and then you do the meat damage and suddenly the play is not there anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Although we see that there is no real play here. The turbines were already both in hand, if that's the play, and there was nothing else.
But there could have been the one single turbine. There could have been the buzzsaw in hand, something like that.
Yeah. They now go to try and defuse the Tucana in the server, which I definitely can see.
Not happening.
But the magnet says no. And oh god, I forgot that Hana gives you a tag. But I guess you just like remove the tag with Hana now and you're still happy.
Now
let's fetch some points.
Get the points. Oh, they decide to remove it manually. Here, I think there's some awareness that some people, I don't think they really have on their mind, is when a game starts to close and where you really have to use your available resources. And I think using Hana here, you need that tempo, right?
Yeah, I do agree, because like those clicks can be used on Liberator, they can be used on the Fermenter to just
to draw somehow. You have to do something
to draw. And
you didn't get your
to use the
install this turn. You didn't get your twinning counter that way, so I think
and for example, we also see like assume that they mosh away 3 cards, and they might even mosh away the turbine, and they find the buzzsaw, install it, and empty their twinning tokens on HQ, suddenly they're on 5 or 7 points. So the game can change very quickly. So I do agree, like being aware that what stage of the game you're in, even though it's 2 points against 4, this is already for Op a late game situation where Op can just like, and as we will probably see with Hostile and then an Agenda, be able to close out the game in 2 turns from here. So I would assume your turn doesn't change no matter what card you draw here.
No, I'm just drawing the Hostile.
Exactly. And you're sort of aware that there is not much play left in this game. Although you still have to draw into a slash and burn to make it happen next turn, otherwise it's happening in 2 turns.
I mean, I also have the options to swap the Thimblewick on the remote next turn and go for the remote play.
That is true.
Thimblewick also gives me a border control trigger on the remote.
And then
I can
also
you get install the border control I have in hand on the remote, so there's still a lot of things I can do.
You probably install ice, install border control, and start of turn swap the ice there, probably against Stavka, and then you're also pretty golden. Especially if you don't have a turbine yet, and turbine also costs money. Yeah, I agree. You're looking good in this game. We see a buyer bans on archives. Just draw more cards.
I think they're looking for the last break. I just can't find the bus yet.
And worst case, they can still just install a turbine and be fine. There it is. And also the 2 bunkers that.
Also, one thing to note here is the border control is really important still. Because it still can fetch the calibration testing, which also wins me the game. Yeah,
true. They can't last click run into a server with a border control.
The 5th, and they do, right? They don't know, but they do. Because they feel pressure, they want to contest HQ, they don't know.
And the game just ends on the spot.
Exactly. Like the border control, I just use it because why pull it further out, get the calibration testing, and score it out.
And just score through after clicking the necessary buttons. This totally makes sense. Also, interestingly, if we go back a turn, if now you swap the Thimblewick for the remote, there is no server that they can run last click and not get border controlled.
I think I should have done that, but I wasn't aware at the beginning of the turn that this is what would happen. And I should have.
Obviously.
Should have known that when I score the Hostile, I get the border control. Or what I could have done is put the border control on the remote instead of R&D. But it felt kind of pointless, I guess. Because the remote isn't worth anything anymore because there's only Tucana and there doesn't matter anymore.
Normally there's nothing happening in the remote anyways. Definitely interesting game, and definitely one that where you were on your back foot for the longest part just because the deck decided to not give you any agendas.
I think one thing that was very, very important is that I did this misplay, which we now can see, where I didn't protect the Rashida enough and the Tucana for what it's worth. And I should have done that, and it could have been quite different because I can see like that this being a chain. Like I can fire the first Rashida. We know now that I will the second Rashida, which I can put in there, and the runner might not be able to come back from that.
As we have seen, at some point your deck started to actually roll, and then since the density of cards that draw your other cards got bigger and bigger, as you weren't drawing any of them, that meant that one Rashida got you the next, and so on and so forth. So if you had this happen 1 turn earlier because you were 3 cards deeper into your deck, then you would have maybe been able to close the game like 1 or 2 turns earlier. So yeah, I fully agree. This is something that can be very relevant in the game.
But
also to note, you're on 6 credits now, which is you have kind of used all of those credits for good value here.
And if you count in those 2 eyes that weren't rest, I think I'm pretty much down to 0. I don't know exactly what those eyes are.
Exactly. Sandstone Enigma.
As if I planned it. I never thought this.
No, but I still feel this is something that you have in your back of your mind. You have like a general idea of how much the ice that you will use costs, and you are able to know, okay, I now have all the money that I need for the foreseeable future.
Especially with like border control installs, even if you get the discount with Tucana, it just adds up. And doesn't the ice doesn't feel like it's that expensive, but it's expensive enough that you need like 20-ish or even 25-ish credits to be able to make all of it work.
Yeah, I fully agree.
Yeah.
All right.
Nice game.
I think that definitely. I think this wraps it up.
Yeah.
And so once again, thank you for bringing this replay, and thank you to all of our viewers for viewing and following these games with us. I think we've gotten some good feedback after the first 3 episodes. Like as always with Netrunner videos, especially these high-level ones, the possible audience for them is rather narrow, but I think for the people that enjoy these kinds of videos, they are really fun to watch, and I think for us also this is really fun to make. So I really like just going over these games with you anyways.
Yeah, same. I can just agree. And also it's very, very valuable to see yours plays again and think about them critically.
Yeah.
For example, that one misplay that I did where we talked about a lot, I wouldn't have realized it if you didn't do this replay. So I can just recommend people, if they have the time and the leisure, to just go over your replays. Maybe talk with a friend or someone from your testing group if you have one, and that helps a lot. And it's very interesting and a good learning experience.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, I don't know if we already did that, but I want to give a shout out to Senvin again. So if you really want to know more about this deck, go look at that video that we linked in the description. Also, I think we had one comment that said we should link the replay in the description, which we will do from now on. And I think we also retroactively did it in the other.
Yeah, I did so.
Cool. So,
and furthermore, I think we will try to stick to a schedule of 1 of these videos per week. If we can make it, still have it be at 2, but I think 1 per week is definitely doable and definitely a lot of fun to create as well.
Also, we will have some guest episodes as well, which we can also already say. So where one of us will do a replay analysis with just one guest that comes on and puts their opinion into the game as well.
Exactly.
Cool.
And so, I think with that we can close this episode. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like and all of those YouTube things. Exactly.
And also always hack the planet!
Hack the planet!